la meta del planeta.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a la Meta del Planeta, yo soy Patricia Guevara. En esta ocasión está con nosotros Jean Pascal van Ypersele. Él es vicepresidente del panel intergubernamental sobre cambio climático, conocido por sus siglas en inglés IPCC. Jean Pascal, bienvenido. Quisiéramos preguntarte, ¿cuál es la labor del IPCC en el Foro Mundial de Legisladores, conocido como GLOBE?
The mandate of IPCC is to assess the quality of the scientific information about all dimensions of the climate change issue. So, a meeting of global legislators interested in climate change need to have high-quality information to found their decisions. And this is why they invited me to represent IPCC and to present the latest content of the IPCC report so they can take, I hope, good decisions.
Las buenas decisiones, ¿qué tan difícil resulta asumirlas para los gobiernos? ¿Qué tan difícil o qué tan fácil resulta llevarlas a cabo?
IPCC is making the diagnosis about the climate change issue, as, for example, provided a very clear diagnosis of the link between human activities and the warming, but is also providing options for solutions. Solutions in the area of adaptation to the part of climate change we will not be able to avoid, and solutions in the area of prevention, mitigation, as it's called, in the area of emission reductions to avoid that climate change becomes too large, too severe. Now, the choices between the different options that are possible need to be made by policymakers. They need to decide according to their national priorities, the national circumstances, what is best for their country, given all the other objectives they want to achieve, like fighting poverty, achieving sustainable development, growing the economy, whatever. So the difficulty in implementing the IPCC options, the options for solutions as assessed by IPCC, really depends on the range of decisions that are taken. Would the policymakers implement all the options together or only a fraction of them? Then it depends. In any case, what's needed in general is a good understanding of the climate change issue, of the importance of the challenge that it poses, and what's needed next is political will to implement whatever options are used to fight climate change or to adapt to climate change.
¿Cuentan los gobiernos con los presupuestos suficientes para llevar a cabo estas acciones de adaptación, de mitigación del cambio climático, o es uno de los grandes obstáculos para poder seguir avanzando?
It is a good question. It is easy to the extent that enough options are put together and implemented together on a sufficient scale. Of course, if only one country implements only a few options, it won't be enough. And then it would be very expensive because there wouldn't be economies of scale which you can have when a technology becomes very widely used. For example, take solar panel. Price of solar panel is decreasing now because you have so many countries in which solar panels and solar energy are used. So the price also depends on the political will to implement the solutions to fight climate change or to adapt to climate change. But it's also a question of priority. Do you want to put money, do governments want to put money on coping with climate change and preventing climate change and adapting to climate change, or do they want to give priority to other issues? That's a choice to be done at the national level in every country.
Jean Pascal, ¿cuáles serían los compromisos que se habrán de tomar con miras a la COP de Perú, la COP 20 en Perú, y cuál sería la ruta o el trabajo que hay que desempeñar para llegar a París 2015?
The IPCC in its latest report has shown the importance of international cooperation. International cooperation is important to exchange information, of course, about good practices, but also because some measures can only be meaningfully taken at an international level. For example, to put a carbon price, to put a price on carbon emitted to the atmosphere is something that is best done at an international level. To have funding from rich countries to poorer countries to fund adaptation or mitigation in poorer countries also require international negotiations. So the conference in Lima is very important because it will pave the way for an agreement that many people hope will be reached in Paris in 2015. So the challenge is to have a clear mapping, clear pathways between now and on the basis of the scientific assessment by the IPCC and the Paris conference, which is the time where an international agreement, an ambitious and equitable, ambitious international agreement should hopefully be reached.
Jean Pascal, ¿qué haces en lo personal, en el día a día, para cuidar el medio ambiente?
Okay, now I remove my IPCC hat and I answer on a personal level. I am trying to have a house which is as energy efficient as possible. So I'm actually starting new remodeling work to improve the insulation, because Belgium, which is where I live, is a cold country. So we need very good insulation to reduce the energy usage in winter. I also have solar panels to produce my electricity. I try to go to the office by bicycle as often as I can. I am very careful when I travel. I take the train every time possible, not to come to Mexico, unfortunately, but when possible in Europe, I travel by train. And then I eat as little meat as possible to reduce the emissions associated to meat consumption. So I'm trying to do my contribution as well.
Jean Pascal, thank you very much. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros aquí en la Meta del Planeta.
Muchas gracias.
Amigos, vamos al corte, no le cambie. Cuando regresemos vamos a tener la entrevista con Terry Townsend. Ya volvemos.
La meta del planeta.